This guy takes on a monstrous challenge. He has to spend $30 million in 3 months, and no property is left after a month, including house, car, jewelry. In the end, he has no money anymore. He can't expose this challenge to anymore. If he's successful, he will inherit a fortune of $300 million from his relative. If he fails, $300 million will belong to another one. This monstrous challenge is in the movie named Brewyers Millions. The male actor is an American citizen. His relative leaves him a huge fortune in the will. This relative wants him to learn how to spend money before inheriting this fortune. People always said that spending money is easier than making money, but with this challenge, how does he spend all the money? Challenge begins. This butler leads him to the bank vault. $30 million is here. It's 1 meter height. It's hard to spend a lot of money quickly and sensibly. He thinks that at first he has to hire someone. So he hires a photographer to record the process of him spending money. He asks this photographer how much salary he wants. $4,000. He decided to increase the salary 10 times. Then he hires a woman with financial management skills. He wants to record the money spent. So he asks this accountant to help him take notes everything. His request is also very strange. He tells his accountant not to find any ways to make money, just try to spend as much money as possible, because $30 million is too much. Wherever he goes, it's very inconvenient to carry the money along. He's also afraid of being robbed. To protect his fortune, he hires many bodyguards with high salary. Each guard receives $10,000 per month. Every time he goes out, he brings 10 bodyguards, so that no one can rob his money. When everything is arranged, he goes out to buy food for others. The speed of spending money will also be faster. When he sees a necklace worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, he asks his accountant whether she wants it, but his accountant refuses it. She advises him to give poor people this sum of money, and not to waste it like that. After hearing it, he doesn't buy that necklace anymore, because the rule of this challenge is that he can't force other people to receive his gifts. He can't tell them about this challenge. He has to make others willing to receive it, but his accountant has woken him up. Because there are many homeless people don't have food, he should use his money to buy them food. Then he can both do good deeds and spend a lot of money. He will go to the most expensive restaurant in the city. But he doesn't have a car. Immediately he stops a taxi. After dealing with driver for a while, he decided to let this driver be his exclusive driver, and pays this driver $20,000 a month. This driver is so happy. Only hiring a man, he can spend $20,000 a month. If he succeeds, then he can enjoy his whole life without working. He goes to the restaurant. He's doing a $30 million challenge in the shortest amount of time. He asks the manager, which was the most expensive wine here. The manager said the most expensive wine was a 1982 bottle of Lafite for $8,000. And then he keeps asking the most expensive food. The manager said the king crab was $1,000 each. After hearing those prices, he feels satisfied. He books all the tables of the restaurant. Then asks them to put Lafite and king crab on each table. Each table must be over $10,000. Then he invites many poor people to come in. He invites them to a hearty meal. Finally, he has spent $10 million, and then he needs a place to stay. Because this is the most expensive restaurant, he decides to book the entire restaurant for his team. To the reception, he asks how much is the rent for a room. Unfortunately, the manager said that the restaurant has been booked for the last 2 weeks. He asked the receptionist how much they had booked. $100,000. He said he would book this restaurant with $10 million. Then he asked the receptionist whether he agrees. Of course he immediately agrees. So they all stay in the most expensive restaurant. A few days later, they eat in the restaurant. But the news about the stupid man who invited the poor to eat is spreading. And then, a lot of media reports about him. And many investment projects from far away come to find him to invest. Those projects are so weird. For example, selling water to the desert, building a factory in Antarctica. The stranger the project, the higher the probability of loss, but he is ready to invest in. He refuses prestigious projects. Finally, these investments account for only $5 million. He still has $20 million, but he doesn't know how to spend it. Suddenly he wants to buy junk stock, so that he can spend money more quickly. He asked his accountant to buy a lot of stocks with poor performance. In a few days, tens of millions of dollars in his hand are about to be spent. He is very happy about it. But when he receives the news, he is already in panic. Unexpectedly, the stock he bought increasing on a large scale because of his reputation. A lot of people bought stocks like him. In a week, not only did $30 million not spend a dime, he also made $10 million more. because of strange idea. It's discovered by a merchant, then he buys it. The more famous he gets, the harder it is to spend money. His friends are very happy for him. But he is not happy at all. Because only he knows. He just has 2 weeks left. It's too hard to spend all of the money. Accidentally, he found out on TV that there was a mayoral election going on, because mayoral elections cost a lot of money. So he actively signs up for this event. The most expensive part of this activity is the advertising fee. If he wants to run ads, he has to invest a huge amount of money. It can satisfy his requirements and spending, his advertisement. It appears on television, in newspapers, on the big screen. He has been everywhere. These advertising fees immediately drains his tens of thousands of deposits. His tagline is also very strange. To keep people from voting for him. Rich people are always joking after the show. They think he is a clear stream. Why does anyone spend money doing ads like that? It makes people be more excited about that. They all want to see someone like that. If he is mayor, how effective will it be? Unexpectedly, he has been chosen to be a mayor. When he works as a mayor, he just finds out that the mayor gets paid too, just like that. He can't spend all of his money. A few days later, he resigned. On the day he leaves here, other people still pay him $30,000. How should he spend $30,000 for? He used to be a baseball player. So that he misses his old teammates so much, he decides to use the remaining $30,000 to invite everyone to hang out. He hires a special plane to pick them up. Then let them stay in the most famous hotel. And invite them to eat at a fancy restaurant. Just like that, $30,000 was easily spent. Today is the last day of his challenge. Without money, he finds the butler to receive his fortune. When he gets in the elevator, he meets a man. This man gives him $20,000 and says it's a deposit of $20,000 left after the previous consumption. When he meets the butler, he still has $20,000 are not spent. According to the regulations, if in the last 10 minutes he does not spend $20,000, then the fortune of $300 million belong to these two bankers. When he wants to give up, the butler detects that this $20,000 has no clear origin. He discovered because that man wanted to harm them, so he gave him $20,000. Immediately he beats that man. That man said he would sue him. After hearing this, he immediately thought it was because someone wanted to sue him, so he could use this $20,000 to hire a lawyer. His accountant writes down the fee of hiring a lawyer. $30 million has been spent. Finally, the butler said he could inherit $30 million. Actually, those two bankers has hired that man to harm him. They don't want him to inherit the fortune. They just want to get all the money. Fortunately, he has been successful in the end. I have a question for you. If you have $30 million, what will you do first? Let's give us some comments.